I'm doing a horrible job. How about that claw? Ah. What's up, guys? Welcome back. How do you feel about this whole look? Because I'm honestly not sure. But that's not the point of the video today. Today we're going to be rounding up my mid-year favorites, best of makeup. So we're still gonna be doing a monthly favorites. That will be on Friday, but this is gonna be everything that I've reviewed so far this year that has just risen to the tippy top for me. And I have a little something for every category, I think, but I didn't really try to organize it any more deeply than that because I'm an Aries, and I guess we'll go ahead and jump in. Let's go ahead and jump in. I had my hair in like a knot on the top of my head. I don't know. Let's begin with some complexion. We're gonna start with foundations. So the first one is the one that I have on my face today. And I know that this is going to be met with a little bit of controversy because there are a lot of people who don't love this. I have watched it in action on people who don't love it, and it does really, really strange things, and I cannot account for those strange things because it is absolutely perfect on me. This is the Fenty Eavesdrop. I have it in the shade 2. It is the blurring skin tint. It is so nice for the skin tint vibe and that level of coverage, but it doesn't give you a bunch of like dewy stickiness. It actually has a dry down and a satin finish, but I find that that lends itself really well to using mixed media on top of it, right? So powders or creams, wears all day, it agrees with all my skincare, it agrees with all my concealers and my primers and everything. I had absolutely no problem with it. I think it's lovely. And I also really appreciate that it's a great shade match for me. Yes, that's subjective, but there are a lot of shades in this line, typical of Fenty. I've talked about this before. It is much easier to wear less makeup when you really nail your shade match. That's why this is so great, is because it's so seamless. The next one, and we're just kind of moving in order here of, I don't know, dewiness, but at the same time, I will go ahead and preface this by saying, I don't know whether it's me being the age that I am or what, but I have moved into a place where I'm kind of over really, really, really dewy stuff and moving kind of into more of like an airbrushed natural finish, even when something is super low coverage. So this is the one that has risen to the top for me. This is the Chantecaille Future Skin. I have the shade Aura. It is just absolutely lovely. Now, you know, obviously some people really can't stand sticking their finger in something. What I do is I just kind of, you know, touch my finger on the inside of the lid right there and get my product that way. And I put it on with my hands. It's so easy. It feels like skincare. And this is one of those foundations where if I were not a YouTuber, I would still own this. I would buy it when I ran out of it. It's just so agreeable. It wears so beautifully, and it also has a nice dry down and isn't, again, super dewy. And finally, by the way, I'm kind of covering my bases in terms of price. The Chantecaille is really expensive. It's like $80 or something like that. But the Fenty is like $29.50, and this depends on the exchange rate because it's coming from France. So when I bought it, it was like $24.50 or something like that, and it's gone up to like $28 at certain points, but I think it has to do with the exchange rate. Either way, this is the Typology Serum Tint. Every time I use this, it blows my mind. Like every time I use this, I have, you know, good, high expectations, but when I put it on my face, I'm always like, oh, I'm so glad I did that. Like, it's just so good. This is their only makeup product, and they really specialize in skincare, and it was like they took all their skincare know-how, added some pigment to it, and it is just so perfect. It comes in a nice little glass bottle with a very functional eyedropper that doesn't trap air. And I've said this a million times, but this is my first video that you are watching. If you're between shades, you can buy the first bottle at full price, and the second bottle will be half price so that you can mix to match. That is how they alleviate the issue of having a pretty darn small shade range on this. So hopefully most people can find their shade. I am squarely in the middle, shock, right, of 01. So those are my complexion favorites, guys. You know, there have been a lot of skin tints that I have tried. I always talk about this. They tend to rush towards the middle. They're all okay. They're all pretty darn good. It doesn't seem to be very difficult to formulate a pretty good skin tint, but these are exceptional in terms of their formula. They're the kinds of things where, you know, some people count sheep. I count really exceptional formulas as I'm falling asleep, and that is what these are. Next, I I have exactly one concealer and one concealer only, and this is she. Well, I mean, I have a couple of shades in it. This is the Thrive Buildable Blur HD Creaseless Concealer. Does that mean I'm over the Kosas concealer? No. Does that mean I'm over the Pat McGrath concealer? No. This is just the best one that I have tried recently. I like the Pat McGrath a lot, but it is super high coverage, which is just not the mood that I've been in lately, and it also is not like A+ underneath my eyes. This is the concealer I can't put down. I can't put it down. It's so beautiful, it's so long wearing, it's so hydrating, it's waterproof, but it is like a whisper on the skin. It is the crowning achievement, honestly, of Thrive so far. It is so good. Okay, I have two bronzer favorites. One, again, another one that I can't put down. I don't feel like any of these are necessarily going to be a surprise if you've been watching my channel so far this year. I mainly make this video because it's fun, and also for people who are new-ish and don't want to go back and watch every single video that I've made. So of all of the bronzer contour duos that have come out so far this year, we had the Victoria Beckham, we had the Wayne Goss. I like them. I like them a lot. I like this one the best for me. So this is Patrick Ta Cream Contour Powder Bronzer Duo in She's Statuesque, which is the fairest of the shades. And you can see this is, it's well loved. Watching Tati recently, she was like, oh, I haven't been on camera in a while. I need to like clean my makeup. You know, when you're kind of just you and you like really love a product, it gets pretty grimy. This thing's pretty grimy. So anyway, I have used this in both orders, where I've used either the cream first and then the powder on top, or obviously the other way around, the powder first and then the cream on top. The bronzer is a powder, the contour is a cream. So if that doesn't agree with your routine, you know, go for something else. I really appreciate this because the contour is like almost translucent the way that it goes on my skin, and it actually makes a really believable shadow for that reason. Hello? Hello? Why is the focus literally like running away from me? Stop that. Hello. There we go. And it's such a believable contour shade on my skin without being too warm and without being too cool. It's like that perfect neutral. If you're looking for something that's like a lot, for if you're fair like I am, a lot cooler in terms of the contour, the Wayne Goss is so much cooler. I actually did a video where I compared them. I won't go into too much detail, but that one is golden in terms of the bronzer and very cool toned in the contour. And the Victoria Beckham is just much warmer overall. Just the contour looks almost like another bronzer. And for some people, like for warm complected people, that's gonna work better. So this one is the one for me. I love this bronzer formula on my skin. When I put this on camera, I got all of these comments from people being like, when you touched your face with that brush, I audibly gasped. Because I have so much trouble finding a bronzer that looks natural on my skin, and I could just put it on all day. It looks really natural and realistic on my skin. Again, super subjective, but it's very hard sometimes to find a bronzer for fair skin that doesn't make you look phony. You know, it's almost always too orange or too something. And this is just right down the middle of like dialed in. And I always say this, but Patrick Ta knows summer skin. He knows how to make you look healthy and gorgeous, you know? And there's just something about the way that his formulas combine with the shades, and it just works for me. So I love that combo. And then the other one, I actually just featured this in my travel bag update, my travel makeup bag, because this is such a multitasker. So this is the Danessa Myricks Vision Flush in Nutcracker, and it is the perfect right down the middle of neutral, and it even has a little bit of like a neutral rosiness to it, but it's like this wild brown, right? It almost looks like my Kackie lip liner. Let's see. Oh my God, you guys, no wonder I like it so much. Look at that. Nutcracker is a contour of my lip liner. That is fantastic. No wonder it feels so familiar and homey to me. So that kind of says it all, doesn't it? It is just that really nice, I'm not gonna say universal because obviously it's lighter than a lot of people's skin tones, but it's Danessa Myricks. She does actually make something for everyone, and I can't say enough about her formulas. I'm a broken record about this, but it's very difficult to formulate things that are like artistry products in that they have a color and a texture, but they're not necessarily for one specific place on your face, but then to also like give you that freedom, but also to make it really beginner friendly and very, very easy to use. I think that Danessa Myricks is a genius. So I love that product. I love all of her products, but that one has just risen to the top for me in terms of something that like for my cheeks and for the quickness of it and for the texture of it, I just don't know of anything else. Okay, blushes. I have divided this obviously into creams and powders, but I have stopped paying any attention to a full face of whatever. I put them on interchangeably. I'm wearing powder and cream and liquid right now. IDGAF, if you can make it work, make it work. So let's start with powders. The obvious one that has risen to the top, and this is, you know, just one of them, I own all three. They need to expand the shade range and just go absolutely nuts. I want kind of one that leans lilac. Oof, but yeah, this is the Bare Minerals Bronzer. It is their bronzer blush combo. We ended up with a portmanteau of bronzer, which I think is very appropriate. And Bare Minerals is one of those brands, they've almost inspired me to just do an entire video of like boring but great makeup, because they are not trying to be flashy. They are always going for the mainstay icon products. Even when they're brand new, they're just like, look, try this. It's gonna blow your mind and you're going to repurchase it when you run out of it. That is what their formulas do. As far as which one is for you, I think that anybody can wear any of them, honestly, but I just let the color that I choose guide the rest of my makeup, and the easiest way to do that sometimes is to just use it on your cheeks and then also use it as a one and done eyeshadow and go with a clear gloss, you know, mascara, you're done. So yeah, they are like actually a bronze blush, not a blush bronzer, if that makes sense. And the other powder blush that I cannot not mention is the new Pat McGrath Labs. These are the Blush Without Caution Skin Fetish Divine blushes, and I have in my hands the shade Nymphette, but I also have Flirtatious and Divine Rose, the, you know, kind of core shade. These formulas, oh my gosh. So I went to my brother-in-law's wedding and I brought only these as my blushes, and I never found a logical stopping point with them because they're so agreeable. They're so beautifully sheer and lightweight on the skin that like you can almost, if you're me, I guess, you can almost always make an excuse to put more on. And especially if you buy like the set of three, like you could be there for an hour just being like, maybe a little more Nymphette. Maybe a little more Divine Rose. And then just add a little bit more to your eyes and you're like, a little bit more Flirtatious. You know what I mean? Like you can just sit there and just be like, some is good, more is better, but like, let's push the limits. And I have not ever had this much fun with a powder blush, ever. Once again, Pat McGrath, you know, she fully understands that her products are very expensive and she is not wasting your time or your money, okay? She has put her time and her energy and her money into making this an absolutely undupable formula that's really impossible to put words to describe. You just have to use it, and I am so grateful for that. That is why they are my favorites. By the way, what's on my eyes right now is not part of my favorites because I literally just tried it today, but Urban Decay sent me a bunch of new stuff, and one of them is this like eye crayon. And you know why I put it on? Because the shade name is Chaos. I just feel like they Googled Chaos and they were like, who should get this? Oh, Kackie, chaotic good. Okay, let's talk about cream blushes. Shall we? Cream, liquid, just not powder. Throwing it back just a touch, and I just grabbed one at random. This is Daydreamer in the cream blush lights from Melt Cosmetics. Melt Cosmetics has never impressed me with their eyeshadows, but these are quite excellent. So this is a blush that has a very, very unique formula. Daydreamer is a pretty deep shade, but I did buy all of them. It looked like a PR mailer, but I just bought it. This formula is so light, it almost feels like a, you know, like a spray oil, like a dry oil that you would put on your body. That's what this feels like, is a dry oil. And I want to say half of them have shimmer to them and half of them don't, but like I can wear every single one of these shades. Daydreamer is that perfect fjords cheek kind of look. You know, it's kind of somewhere in between a really deep bronzer and a really deep blush. It kind of looks like Kiss of Rose. So this is Kiss of Rose and this is the Bronzer in Daydreamer. So, you know, Kiss of Rose is going to be a little bit more shimmery and a little bit more peach, but they're very, very similar. So you can see why I might find that appealing, and I just really enjoy all of the shades. Like I said, the only thing with this is they all lean kind of neutral to warm, which there are plenty of shade ranges that lean neutral to cool. It's just a shame for people like me, honestly, who really like to have a good like lavender undertone in their blush repertoire, that there isn't some kind of really pale rosy lavender color. They're very summery in that sense, where they're just kind of more for tan look, and maybe they'll put out more. I'm not sure, but the formula is so exquisite. It's so lovely, and they're not super expensive. I think they're like $22. This is another one. As I'm counting sheep, as I'm falling asleep, I'm just thinking about how happy I am that Lisa Eldridge made this formula. I never put blush on with my fingers because I think it's fussy and annoying. All of these formulas, they put themselves on for you, okay? That is always my measurement. My bar is like, is it fun? Is it easy? These are fun and easy. And some of the comments that I got when I reviewed this in the, you know, actual dedicated video were that, you know, typically they liked how I layer a lot of my blushes, you know, and get like this really, really rich blushed look, but the initial application of this also was incredibly beautiful and did not look incomplete. This is one of those blushes that it really lends itself perfectly to Lisa Eldridge's signature style, which is blush draping and watercoloring your blushes. You have so much flexibility with this formula, and it goes on like a dream. She calls it this micro capsule kind of technology. For me, the way that that works is that it has a little bit of, I don't know, like a blurred powdery look to it, and it will absorb whatever texture you either put under it or put over it, so it has a lot of flexibility. But I mean, it feathers really easily, but also it builds really beautifully. She really put a lot of work into it. The only critique I would have of it is that, again, I want more shades. It feels like a core collection, which is totally fine. I want some more nuance, but I will say Pink Soap, I am wearing that right now. Pink Soap is the lighter pink shade. It does have a fair bit of kind of cool tone to it, but I would like to see her go, you know, even farther flung in some more directions. And finally, in the non-powder blush category, I can't stop using this. And for a Natasha Denona product, granted, I mean, she's very, very small, but it's not super expensive. I think it's $22. So this is her puff paint in the shade Daria. Blink and you could miss it, you know, but just do not sleep on this formula. And I don't own anything this color, okay? This wild melon bubblegum shade. Like, I can't like dupe that anywhere in my collection, and it doesn't have any like ashiness to it. It might be a little too sheer to show up on everybody, but it's not going to look like white, you know? It's not gonna look milky, and it has kind of a serum thing to it. Yeah, it's a liquid blush serum. So the dry down on it, it doesn't stay tacky or dewy, but it does have its own little bit of sheen, and it's a fantastic way to finish off a look with a pop of color, and it doesn't disturb what's underneath it. It moves around really easily. I don't feel like I have to be super careful with it, and because it's so nice and sheer, it watercolors really beautifully. I want all the shades, but I think that there were only like 3. It feels like a pilot, you know, like, is this gonna work? Like, yes, it is so good. This formula is fantastic. Like, I'm afraid that because it didn't make a bigger splash, like it might get discontinued at some point, because it's very, very good. I would like to see her I would like to see everyone make more blush. That's the moral of the story. Okay, I don't have any highlighter favorites because I kind of stopped wearing highlighter. No offense, highlighter. We'll come back around, but it's just not where I'm at lately. Let's talk about eyes. I had to double back on myself and make sure that I reviewed this year because it feels like she's been with me for my entire life. You know that kind of relationship where you're like, I've always known you, I was just waiting to meet you? The Pat McGrath Divine Rose palette. It's just the original. The Mothership 7 Divine Rose is the best eyeshadow palette I've ever owned. It's definitely the most useful. This is the most intuitive palette, and a friend of mine actually got this as a gift and she messaged me on Instagram. She's not like a super makeup person, and I was like, this formula puts itself on for you. And she goes, do you have a tutorial of it? She's like, oh wait, I found it. She was like scrolling through my videos. It was the original one where I tried this, and I said, look, I make mud in that video, but it's beautiful, exquisite, high-end mud, and it will empower you that there's really almost nothing wrong you can do with this palette, because the first handful of times you use it, you're going to put all of them on. Like, you're not gonna be able to make a decision, if you're me at least, and you'll just go maybe a little bit, and then you end up with like, this is like hologram on your eyes, and it still doesn't look bad. It doesn't look planned, but it doesn't look bad because these textures are gorgeous. There are no rules. That said, every single shadow in this palette can be a one and done eyeshadow, and I have actually had a lot of fun using something like this, which is this very sheer shade, but it just kind of has like a rainbow shift, like almost like a holographic shift, as all over, like a one and done, and then just use like this brown or this purple to like contour, and you end up with this like, is it there? Or is it just magic kind of look to it? And it's, I mean, it is mascara and chapstick Twitter, but like elevated. You can get any look out of this palette now if these are your colors. And if they're not your colors, I can at least vouch for the formula because she's got a ton of palettes and she does lots of sales, but I mean, come on, that is me in a palette. I always say, if I were to have created an eyeshadow palette, I would only hope it would be this well matched to my taste. I'm not sure that I could come up with it myself. That's what Pat McGrath has. She has imagination, okay? Don't underestimate imagination as a huge asset for someone creating a brand. You have to have imagination. So that's the only palette, but let's talk about these little one and done ladies here. The first will come as absolutely no surprise to you guys. Another one where you're like, really, that was this year? Because I talk about it so much, you're probably like, these have been around forever. It was this year. These are the Veska Moonlit Dream. They're the liquid eyeshadows. I always swatch Karina. I'm going to swatch Vella for you today. They are like nothing else. They're like nothing else on the market. So they're this wet look liquid eyeshadow that is so easy to work with. So easy to work with. And they actually dry down completely. And when they're dry, you can spread them out with a brush like a regular powder shadow. They're long wearing. They come with none of the compromises that you're typically used to dealing with a cream eyeshadow. They solve for all of it. They really nail it on the formula and the shades, just the ease of use and how good they look. They're just so, they're like the Rowan shadows in terms of like, oh, I didn't know I could look this cool with this little effort, except that they don't crease. The next one, little sleeper hit. Now, you guys knew I was gonna talk about this, and now that I've tried a bunch of the other shades, I will say it really is a shade thing for me because they don't all perform the same way. If you wanna see them in action, all the ones that I do have, you should go back and watch the one and done, my best and worst one and done eyeshadows video because I swatched them all over my face. It's a lot of fun. This is my favorite though. This is the Iconic Chrome Pigment Paint from Illamasqua, and I have it in the shade Alluring. They're not all the same pigment like richness, but this one it's immaculately done. It is so effective. It's got an actual chrome finish to it, and it is just a regular powder. Like, it's creamy feeling, and it is this really nice, you know, foiled pink color that I think would look good on just about everybody. I've got a little bit of it on my eyes right now. You can wear this as a one and done if you're really fair. You can wear it as a one and done if you're deep skin tone too, but you can also use it as a highlight if you have a deep skin tone. It's a little too dark for me to do that, but if this is lighter than your skin, it reflects light so beautifully. So yeah, and this is pretty darned affordable. I really appreciate that about it. And then in the other end of the spectrum, not very affordable, but so glad that I bought it. I have not loved the Victoria Beckham lid lusters in the past because I felt like mink and blonde were just really, really odd in their like color choices, but tea rose and honey blew my mind. Blew my mind. So that's tea rose right there. It is like this amazingly nuanced, like tan shift, cool toned, light purple, I don't know, but it's magic. And then this is honey. Honey is, I would say, you know, a little bit more dupable because it's kind of squarely, I'm doing a horrible job. How about that claw? Ah. It's squarely in the middle of like a good bronze gold. But if you're looking for a bronze gold, it's a really good bronze gold. Again, these are not inexpensive by any means, but as far as one and done shadows go, they really dial it in on the formula and on the shades for me. All right, I have one brow product and it's a placeholder also for the brown one, which I have packed somewhere. But Kosas came out with these fantastic brow products. I think they're lovely. I think one of the biggest selling points of them is outside of the clear, the shade range has 10 shades in it. It's more than I have ever seen in a brow shade range. The Air Brow, that's what it's called. And if none of those works for you, they also have a clear, and the packaging, I mean, who cares, but I care kind of thing, you know, it's just a whole lot of fun. They did kind of like shift gears, I feel like, in their packaging. This is just marketing hat. From that really austere, almost like NARS level, like the black compact, to this younger kind of thing, but it's like young, but it's like when I was young. So it's nostalgic for me, and I enjoy that about it. It reminds me of like the little clicky pencils. So anyway, big, great release from them this year. I enjoyed these a lot. And in the brown one, I have milk chocolate, but I could probably wear any of the like fairer taupe ones too. And finally, we're going to discuss lips. I have 3 lip formulas that rose to the top for me, and one of them is obvious. It is the Veska. Not that this is an undupable formula, but I think that they nail it. It's some of the best in terms of the shades that they match with this formula. This is that funky, slippy liquid lip balm formula that has a glossy look without being sticky. They're pretty darn saturated. Again, I did an entire video swatching all of these on my lips. I have all of the shades. This is Lotus. My favorite one is Ginger Lily, and they have ones that, you know, they've got like Orchid. They really, really run the gamut. They've got like a deep chocolate brown that obviously looks pretty bizarre on me, but is going to look amazing on some people. So it caters to like a pretty big spectrum for only having what, like 6 or 8 shades. You know, they're a pretty small indie brand, and I cannot wait to see what they do next because every one of their products is really, really dialed in. Like they're all hero products. You get a ton of product for your money, and these are so nourishing. Like they actually function as a lip balm. Next. Oh, Illamasqua, you did something weird and I liked it. Is anyone shocked? You know, the people who have tagged me in their Instagrams when they have purchased this, they've all been so excited about it. They're just like, Kackie made me buy it. So this is the Hydra Lip Tint, which does not really describe what it is. The main thing about this is it's got color theory built into it. And so it's orange and blue. And then when you put it on, they mix together to make the most gorgeous cool toned purple. Can you even see that? And it also acts as a really good kind of like color adjuster if you are wanting to kind of cool something off. But I wear this like by itself with just a lip liner because it's very much the actual color of my lips. My lips actually have a lot of blue in them. And also, it smells deliciously of vanilla. Like it smells so good, and that's the way to my heart, man. If it's a really good vanilla scent, it does actually go a long way, and it is super, super nourishing on the lips. It serves a lot of purposes. And finally, we have the Glossier Ultra Lip, right? Yeah, I ended up getting 3 shades of this, and it isn't scented or anything, which I think a lot of people were really happy about because I want to say, like, I don't know, one of their other, was it the Generation G? Was actually scented. So this is the shade Villa, and it's just so beautifully glossy and lightweight and also pigmented. One of the things that Glossier has done for so long is that they make things that are mostly texture and they kind of back away from color, you know, or they kind of can't do both at the same time and marry them in a really harmonious way. And this is the first release from them that I've seen where they both marry the formula and the shade saturation really beautifully while making a nourishing product, because all their stuff is meant to make your skin look healthier, right? But also, for me at least, I definitely heard some feedback from other people that this was not the case. I felt like these were better shades overall. Just in general, like more wearable shades, a lot of their stuff kind of tends to be a little bit too in like one direction or another. I always feel like they zig when they should have zagged for me, but then there are people who are like, every shade in the Vanilla Clip worked for me. You know, we're all different, we all have different needs, and you know, that's the beauty of it. But I felt like this did a really good job of marrying a balm and something that actually, you know, is an effective lipstick. Like it's truly a color. And I feel like it's just a really good release that is also, to me, ageless, something that Glossier has kind of teeter-tottered on. They have this very young audience, but then their price points aren't exactly, they're not drugstore, you know? And I felt like this being such a nourishing formula with also some like pretty shades, like shades that were just meant to be pretty, not just like kind of wild or young or whatever. Like they're just wearable and pretty, and you wouldn't know until someone pulled it out of their purse that that was what they were wearing, kind of thing. It was a wise thing that they did. I really, really liked this release. Is that everything? Y'all, I have liked so many things, but I feel like I wanted to distill it down to like the creme de la creme. Yeah, I just wanted to really, really distill it down to the things that blew my mind, almost for context. You know, if you are just starting out on my channel and you're planning on becoming a regular watcher, these are the things that I'm going to kind of refer back to using only like one word. Like I'll just be like, you know, like the Glossier, and like you're supposed to know what I'm talking about. The Illamasqua, and just like you're supposed to know what I'm talking about. This can be a reference video for that, because these are all the things that I count at night to go to sleep. Lovely, beautiful, easy, fun formulas. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you want to keep hanging out with me on this channel, hit the button down below and subscribe. I would love it if you guys did. I have so many great videos waiting in the wings right now, just when we get past this week of roundups, because Friday's going to be my actual monthly favorites. But we've got Salt New York, I've got new stuff from Kierweiss, I've got this whole box from Clover, which is Clove & Hallow's new brand. New Makeup by Mario coming. I don't know why. The Patrick Ta eyeshadow palette has just been like in transit for like a month now. I don't know what's going on there. I've got more Urban Decay. I've got the new Thrive Brilliant Eye Brighteners. Yeah, guys, just so much good stuff that I'm so excited to do. So definitely subscribe, hit the ring the bell, and that'll let you know when I upload so that you don't miss anything. And I love you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I will see you in the next one.